So we are here today at the beautiful hotel, the Victoria Falls Hotel, and I'm here with Mrs. Sarah Dhliwayo. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm good.
Great.
Can you just greet our viewers?
All right. Good morning. It's still morning. It's now afternoon.
It's now afternoon.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here, and thank you very much for this time.
Yes, you're welcome. So Vic Falls Tel Aviv is all about celebrating inspiring events. Your win is our win, and your loss we definitely also want to know about. But today we are here with an inspiring story about this beautiful lady who is here in front of us. Congratulations on winning the Silver Medal Award at the CEO's, what do you call it?
Network. CEO's network.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Wow. How do I feel? I feel excited.
Yes.
Actually, I feel even challenged more. I feel like probably this is just the beginning.
A beginning of a greater journey.
Yeah.
So are you looking forward to winning more medals?
Definitely. Who doesn't?
Okay.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to more medals, and I'm looking forward to inspiring even more people.
Yes. So can you just tell us a little bit of your background on who you are, maybe where you learned, the schools that made you to become this great person that you are today?
Okay. Sarah was born many years ago. Actually, I turned my birthday was on Saturday. Was
Happy
born
belated.
Thank you. Was born many years ago in Chipinge. Yes.
Now you're in Victoria Falls.
I was born in Chipinge, but I'm told the year that I was born, that's the year that my parents moved to Victoria Falls.
Okay.
So literally, I never stayed in Chipinge, but I would say I'm a Victoria Falls resident. I would say resident by birth somehow.
Okay.
So I've grown up in Victoria Falls. I did my creche at the creche that is opposite the stadium. That's where I did my creche. The Chinotimba.
Yes, I see it.
Preschool.
Yes.
And people that I remember during that time, Mrs. Chukuma, I think she's still in Vic Falls. She was my creche teacher. I went to Chinotimba Primary School from grade 1 up to grade 7. Teachers to remember at Chinotimba Primary School, Mrs. Vindi was my grade 1 and 2 teacher.
Yes.
Mr. Nkomo was my grade 3 and 4, 5. Miss Donga, the lady who is currently at First Capital or used to work for First Capital at some point.
Okay.
She was also my grade 5 teacher. Grade 6 and 7, the late Miss Chomrema was my teacher. And those people, I still remember them because I value them in my life. And I then did my Form 1 at Mosia Tunya, just the Form 1. The teachers to remember, Miss Kokolo, Mr. Kumalo, Ask.
Okay.
As for Ask, I remember him very well because he is one person, I would say he believed in me. There are things that, as teenagers you would do, but Ask believed in me, believed in my capabilities, believed that I was able to do so many things.
Yes.
Up to a point that I've got stories, so many stories. He was actually my class teacher as well.
Yes.
I've got so many stories that I have with him, and I believe at that moment he believed in me. Another person to think of is Mr. Mandinyenya, who was the science teacher. I remember when I left Mosia Tunya Form 1 and I told him that I'm now transferring, he was not happy. He was actually very sad that I was transferring.
Yes.
I then went to Mashingo and I learned at a rural school, walking something like 4 or 5 kilometers.
Wow.
To school. I have done that. And during that time, this was in Bigita, Mukore High School. That was my school in Bigita. It was just for a year. Unfortunately, when I was staying in Bikita, I was staying with my grandma, and I lost my grandma during that particular year.
All right.
But she was a very beautiful woman. I still value her in my life.
Yes.
And I then moved to Mberengwa, where I stayed with my uncle. Because my grandma had passed on, so my uncle just said, you know what, he's a teacher, and you can move and stay with us and finish off your O levels.
All
So I
right.
went to Makuwa Secondary School in Berengwa. It's in the middle of Berengwa. Some people don't know it, close to Chegato, but it was a day school. He was a teacher, so I was staying with him.
Okay.
During that time of my life, I would say friends, school friends and teachers were very important and pivotal to my education. I remember in Bikita, the class used to have a top 10 of boys. People like Fidelis Kunje, he's now in Harare. People like, there's a gentleman by the name Simbarashe Makunike, something like that. There was only one lady named Charity Honye who would squeeze into the top 10. So, you feel like there's that competition.
Yes.
And those people, they were my friends. And they were people that would inspire me and would make sure that each and every day I aim to do higher.
Yes.
And when I went to Mberengwa, the competition was not as the one in Mashingo, but it was also there.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that moment as well. So I've always been someone who didn't care whether it's boys or girls or in the top 10. I wanted to be part of it. Just if you may allow me to take you a little bit back.
Okay.
For your information, the bulk of my primary education, I was number one, number two. But again, I would lose pens each and every day. Up to a point that my mom would tie my pen.
What made you
neck.
lose pens?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I think when I'm a person who's very playful as well.
Yes.
So I think the time when I'm done with school, I finished writing, the pen is not necessary. I'll think of the pen when I now want to write again.
Yes.
So I think that was what happened. And my mom would actually tie my pen on my neck, but still, I would lose it. I don't know what exactly happened, but I enjoyed my school. I loved everything. My favorite subjects,
Tell us
accounts
about them.
and mathematics.
Okay.
Miss Gola was one person who made me love accounts. I think she's still in town. She made me love accounts up to a point that during my transfers, there was a school that didn't offer accounts, but I did it on my own.
On your
Because
own.
I just wanted to do accounts.
Okay.
And it is helping me. I'm doing HR, but it helps me. Remember, you do budgets, you do things.
Yes.
So it does help me. But those were my favorite subjects, and are still my favorite areas.
And just listening at the background that you've given us about your education, it's so inspiring that sometimes people our age, when we go to school, we just want to get done. We don't care about our teachers. We forget about them. But the way you have mentioned them, it's so amazing that they are important. They really bring out the person that you are.
I still remember even where Mr. Nkomo used to stay. I remember where Mrs. Wind used to stay, because I would even love to carry books to her house and then go home after that. So they are very, 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 very important to me. I value them. Mrs. Masugu, she was also my English teacher. I think I remember all of them. If you ask me to name all my teachers,
You'd name all of
I would
them.
name all of them. Even for subjects that I was not good at, I know them. I know them, yeah.
And I think that is so amazing. You also make it sound important that education is really important. I've met a lot of people, done interviews, but I haven't met someone like you who really made me feel like, you know what, I think I need to go back to secondary school.
It is. I think also I want to mention this. My parents, when they came to Victoria Falls, my dad is a caver. My mom, she used to sell at Madoilin. And there is one thing that they have given us as a family. They never went to school, but none of us didn't go to school.
Yes.
We are 7 in our family. We really appreciate what they have done for us in terms of education. I think for them, in as much as they didn't get the education that they wanted or that they would have wished for, they didn't deprive us. We would rather not have something but have the fees paid.
Yes.
That's how we were brought up, and it has taken us to another step in terms of a family.
Yes.
From where they came from up to where we are. When my mom talks of how she took care of us, you can actually see how everything is transformed in terms of our family. And it's something that they instilled in us, though they didn't have the education, but they instilled in us that element of saying, you know what, as a starting point, you need to be educated. Even if you then decide to be an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily work, but it's a starting point for how the family will grow from here.
Which also brings out the whole statement when people say that every great person always has that journey or that story to tell. Definitely. So I would like say, I want to be like you. I want to have a story to tell also. So I also have this one question, like when you finished your high school and you went to varsity, you wanted to do human resources or you had something else to do? Were you not confused? You loved accounts and everything.
That's a very interesting question. I loved accounts, and I wanted to go to university. I can tell you that one of the subjects, isn't it, when you're applying at university, you're given 3 options?
Yes.
Human resources was actually the last option. But okay, there's something that then happened along the way. I've got a friend of mine, I Moment Bebe, I think some of you know him. He did HR.
Yes.
And when I was looking for a place for university, you know, it was before he went for university, he was Form 4, used to share the books with me.
Yes.
His Form 5 books become my books.
Okay.
His Form 6 books become my books.
Yes.
So there was that element of getting inspired by what he was doing as well. So I felt like, okay, he's doing HR, so we should also do it.
So that you get his books.
Yeah, we should also do HR. You know, the books, and then the fear that maybe when we go to university, it will be so difficult, but at least I've got someone who assists me. That was the idea. And when I applied, when I saw my name in the press, I had been allocated for HR. And I was like, it's fine.
You will get the books, you're covered.
Yeah, I will do it.
Okay.
And I really didn't get to a point where I felt like, no, I had actually applied for accounting, business management, and HR.
Okay.
I never really got to a point where I would say, no, I actually didn't want this. I wanted accounting or I wanted business management. And to be honest with you, I don't regret. Well, I don't regret.
I wouldn't regret also if I was you. That is so interesting because these days young people, when they go to varsity, they're so confused about what they should do. And some people, when you apply to do HR, they're like, don't do that, you won't get a job, blah blah blah, all those kind of stories.
Yeah, I think maybe yes, of course, sometimes it's because of situations that we get ourselves into. And but I think it's important that when people are choosing programs to do, it's always important to choose something that you also love. Moving from HR and you go to tourism and hospitality, which is the industry that I've worked in.
Yes. Passion
is important. When you work 6 to 6, when you work up to midnight, you can't work up to midnight when you don't have you will not enjoy it. Actually, you can work, but you will not enjoy it. So it's important also to consider in something that you think you will enjoy.
Yes.
That part for me, I've always been a people's person. I've always been someone, even at church, I've been a youth leader.
Yes.
I've always loved to be around people. So I thought, okay, when you say the basics, HR, so I'll be talking to people. What's it? It's fine. It's okay.
I can do that.
Yeah. So it's important to also think of, will I be excited? Will even the down moments of my job make me feel I still made the right choice?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, go for it. Go for it. I think opportunities do come differently. You might find the job, you might not find the job, but you'll still use that particular qualification to do what you really want to do.
Yes.
And you will not regret having done that program. And also, you have people in in different industries. Someone will do tourism and eventually fall into the HR,
Yes.
or someone will do HR and eventually move into operations. But it will still be helpful.
Yes.
It's not something that you go down the drain, as long as you capture whatever that you are learning during that particular time.
Yes. And thank you very much for that one. So for the young people out there my age who are confused about what they want to do, it's about your passion, what's in your heart. So just do it. So also we want to know about your work experience, where you've worked, where you started from to where you are right now. I'm sure you didn't start as an HR. I remember you telling us stories about that. So other people want to know out there.
Okay. So in my first job, I think some of the people watching this would know, I was a public area cleaner at Vic Safari Lodge. And just like anything else, I still hold that dearly. And I'll explain to you why.
Yes.
I actually got this job when I finished my A-level. And my parents at that moment couldn't afford that I go to school instantly. So I had to wait something like 2 years before I went to, a year before I went to varsity. I was a public area cleaner. I became a bedroom hand at the same organization. And then I went to university. So before I continue in terms of what then happened after, I'm saying I hold that dearly because in the industry that I work in, I find that sometimes my understanding of the industry, because if you are in the support department or within accounts or you're in HR or you're in procurement, which is not necessarily the main business of the company that you're working for, you also need to understand what exactly happens out there.
Yes.
When someone is serving a guest, what exactly is expected? Because you've done it.
Yes.
So it became an added advantage for me. Because I've worked in the front of house as a bedroom hand. I've worked in the front of house as a public area cleaner.
Yes.
You meet a guest, you know you smile when you meet a guest.
Yes.
You know it's not something that when I joined HR I'm like, and why are these people just smiling? And you know,
They're
so
always smiling.
it was helpful because it made me understand the operations, and it's something that within my career I would tell you that it has become a great asset that I've got a tourism background before I actually did HR.
Yes.
So when I became a bedroom hand, I then left Vic Safari Lodge, went to university. I did HR, like we were talking about. I did my attachment at Elephant Shoes. And my attachment, unfortunately, the two people that I was attached to, who mentored me first time in terms of HR, they've both passed on, and may their soul rest in peace.
Okay.
Mr. Mandioma.
Yes.
His last employment was at Matetsi, and Julia Tembani. Those were the people that I first worked with. Those were the people that taught me HR. Those were the people that would tell you, no, you don't talk to people like that.
Yes.
You know, when you're in HR, sometimes you think that I am the person.
Yes.
And there's this old person who comes in, may I fill in your, may you assist me with, no, you can fill it in. And they'll be like, no, you assist them.
Yes.
You assist them. Because some of these people were employed, they didn't even know how to write, just like I was talking about my parents. So those are the people, the basics, and they taught me what is it all about in HR. They brought the confidence that I have today.
Yes.
After that, after my attachment, that was in 2008, I went for my 4-1, and then 4-2 to end of 2008, I think you remember that most of the institutions didn't open.
All right.
I then got a job at Vic Safari Lodge. I was yet to finish my degree.
Okay.
But it was on contract basis. I worked there, and it was around August 2008, and in September they offered me a job permanently. And I remember the deputy general manager then, she said to me, you need to sign this contract. And I was like, no, our program doesn't have a block or visiting school.
Yes.
So how am I going to finish my degree? Because for me, I still felt like I'm supposed to finish my degree.
Yes.
So she said to me, no, we'll discuss about that. But I wasn't confident enough that they will then allow me to go to school and finish my degree. I didn't sign it. And she was assigned to another task outside Zimbabwe. And the next person who was there, Mr. Hudson, I think some of you know him, Jonathan Hudson, he called me again and said, Sarah, you need to sign your contract. And the date was now changed to 1 October. And I was like, no, I'm supposed to go to school. So I don't know when we are opening and what will I do with school and work.
Yes.
And then he says to me, no, you go to school. You tell us if you want 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out. It's fine. And I was like, oh, what an opportunity.
A big one.
I signed that contract. I went back to school later. I spoke to my lecturers. Luckily, we didn't have a lot of modules for that period.
Yes.
And they said it's fine as long as you do your dissertation, as long as you submit your things in time, which I was happy about. And that's how I started working before I actually finished my degree at Vic Falls Safari Lodge. And it was an exciting moment. And for me, I thought that was a huge achievement.
Yes.
Because imagine you haven't even finished the degree.
Yes.
And someone believes in what you do. Yeah, in what you do. And that was how I started. And from there, I then left Vic Falls Safari Lodge 2011 when I joined Victoria Falls Hotel.
Yes.
That's another interesting part of my career. I was an HR administrator at Vic Falls Safari Lodge. At some point, I felt like it was not challenging for me.
Okay.
And I saw an advert for a GDP trainee for the Vic Falls Hotel Partnership. And I applied. And people were like, but this is a contract for 2 years. What happens
after 2 years?
After 2 years, you're leaving a permanent job. And I was like, you know what? I appreciated the program when I was on attachment, the graduate development program for African Sun.
Yes.
So I had seen what exactly happens there. And I was confident I will ace it. And I was like, it's fine. I'll risk it.
Okay.
I'll leave the permanent job, go for a fixed term contract for 2 years and be a graduate trainee. And I think I'll do it. I think I'll be appointed. It was all hope and belief in if I do the right things, I will be appointed. And yes, I came through. That was in May 2011. But in September 2011, I was already appointed HR officer.
Wow.
So I then didn't do the programs of going for lane and all that.
Yes.
I eventually didn't do that. And I was appointed HR officer before even
2
a
years.
year. No, a year. It was just 6 months. It was 5 months actually, to be specific. It was 5 months. I was appointed. Then I used to work with Mr. Chware, what more? And he also left. I worked with Mr. Zingoma. And I think I continued to try and make sure I do the best of whatever that I've been asked to do. And in 2017, I got a call from our head office. We had one person who had resigned, who was based at Caribbean Bay Resort. And I got a call from our head office and they said, would you be interested in going to Caribbean? And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think of that. But give me just a few days to think about it. And I thought about it and I said, yes, I will do it. I went to Caribbean 2017 in November, the first week of November. Wow, that was a different hotel altogether, different experience altogether, different environment altogether. Of course, except the heat. It is what is Vic Falls.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was a different experience altogether, and another path started. I had a GM called Amanda Matema. She's also another person that I would like to specially mention.
Okay.
She was pivotal to even my growth from there. She was very important. She taught me some elements in an informal way, in some elements about, accountability, being responsible. You have time for fun, you have time for work.
Yes.
That's how she does her work. She would be that person where you think, oh, we were just chatting. So when she says, what about my report? You'll be like, isn't it we were just talking?
Yes.
So the report is not yet done. No. I need
She
it.
would want the report.
Yes, and she just switches to another person. She's like, but we're having a cup of tea together. So she really taught me all those things. And I always joke with her and say, when from there, actually, when she calls me for a cup of tea or cup of coffee in her office, I'm like, hold on, I'm busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a long journey, and I think for my takeaway at home, I'm taking challenges. That you have to take challenges, you have to risk in life. If you feel like you want to do something, just go for it.
Definitely.
So before we round up this, what do you think made you win the award? I mean, they could have picked someone from Harare, anywhere else, but from Victoria Falls. That's very interesting.
Okay. I think maybe when I left Kariba, I came back here at Vic Falls Hotel, obviously at a different role. And I would like to believe, firstly, I would like to believe in my team, the team that I have.
Yes.
The people that I've worked even with at Kariba, the people that I've worked with here. For HR, I think, I don't know, maybe let me use the word grapevine. I think there's also that element. You know, when you're working with someone and someone goes home and there's something that has happened and you help people, I think it's my team. I am one person who I've always said to my team, when you need help, as long as you know it's something that has got to do with work,
Yes.
even at 2 a.m., call. You have a situation, one has got a medical aid. I'm just going to give it as an example. Small things. I think it's just small things. You have a medical aid and person calls for an ambulance and the ambulance says, we are not taking your medical aid, and the person calls you and say, no, I've knocked off. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You still need to help them. You still need to make sure that they're okay. You don't want them to be okay only when they're here.
Yes.
And you want them to be at work and work and work and work and work and work.
Yes.
You still want them to be also human beings. You still want them to expect you to be also a human being and be considerate. So I think one thing that I am, when I sit and say I'm happy to do it, give it to me 24/7,
Yes.
is to make sure that even when someone is now in a problem and it's something that she knows or he knows that at work they can assist, I don't have a problem with that.
Yes.
You are in an emergency or you need help or whatever, I don't have a problem with that. And that, I think, obviously there is now elements of the family members, of friends who be like, oh, okay, there's this person.
Yes.
Oh, this is the person that works with you. And it then spreads. That's what I think. And also, even them as employees,
Yes.
I believe when you do the right things, they will talk about it. Because for us, our guests are the employees.
Yes.
Those are our guests. When you learn that when someone sends you a message and says, I would like to see you, and you're like, okay, it's fine. What time would you want to come and see me? And they feel, okay, you can come. You know, there's a person that I once said, why do you knock and wait for me? Like sometimes when it's a bit noisy, you don't hear the knock. Why do you wait for coming? I always believe it's an open office. You know, when you laugh with them and you're like, it's an open office. Come in and we talk about it. It's not a private office. It's different from someone who will be like, oh, there's money, there's whatever. This is the people's office. So maybe I'm not sure. I honestly think it's all those things. And the fact that there is a community that I've grown up in.
Yes.
This is the Vic Falls. This is where I did my attachment. This is where I've worked. This is where I'm still working. And even the feedback, I remember even when I left Kariba, one employee sent me a message and said, okay, when I joined them, there were things that you would find happening and you're like talking to them, why do you do this? And at some point I had a nickname that, Vaku 5-star because Caribbean Bay is not necessarily a 5-star.
Yes.
Vaku 5-star 5-star.
Yes.
But with time, there are people that I feel they understood where I was coming from.
Yes.
It's not about, even if it's a 3-star hotel, even if it's a 4-star hotel, why don't you do the best?
Yes. Yes.
So I think with time, they realize that they have grown. And I personally, I also want to say there are people that even within our group, some I took them as public area cleaners. I actually met one recently, but now they're supervisors. Some we took them as I remember there was a manager who used to say, HR murushandisa department rangu kuita entry point. Yes, it is an entry point. We don't want people to come and be stagnant where they are. Let them grow. I was talking to some students on attachment and I was saying, I want you to come back one of these years and say, you're now my GM. It's correct. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
you're now my GM, and I'll come to your office and say, ma'am, what time should I come for our discussion? And I will come, and I should be happy about that, because that's the path that you're taking. You're into operations. What stops you to be a GM one day? And even in the next 10, 15 years, probably I'll be still working.
Yes.
Probably I'm still in HR and all that. But I want to come to your office and say, ma'am, I want to come and see you so that we discuss staffing issues. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong.
Yes.
So I think that belief that I have, and that encouragement that I always give people as well. Students, I work a lot with students on attachment, and I'm so proud that every time when someone, there are a lot of students that I can say they pass through my hands.
Yes.
And I'm happy. Yes, sometimes I think people think that I'm a bit on the tough side. They think that,
yes.
But I think I do it for them as well.
And I think it would be unfair for me to leave without saying, to also appreciating you, because I also trained here sometime last year when I finished my A level, and no matter where I work, guests are always like, we love your smile. You told me to smile. They're like, we love your service. Where have you worked before? I remember there's someone who came and asked me, how long have you been in the tourism industry? I'm like, it's not even a year. I've just been a waiter in my life, but the way I give up myself out there is because of the training that you actually gave me here. So thank you.
Thank you. Actually, for maybe for the sake of the viewers, it was actually orientation.
Yes.
It was more than it was not necessarily deep. The parts that I took.
Yes.
With you, it was just a 2-day orientation.
Yes.
And I believe those basics are important in our industry.
Yes.
This is the industry that makes the Victoria Force. I think during COVID, people realized there is no Victoria Force without hospitality.
Yes.
So if we do it right as an industry, regardless of the hotels or the restaurants that we work in,
yes,
definitely it will improve even in terms of the guests that come or that prefer to come and stay in Victoria Falls as compared to even the neighboring countries which we compete with. So
yes,
it's something that is important. The industry is about people. This industry is about people.
yes,
The better we have in terms of the caliber, the attitude that we have in terms of the people, we will be the best.
So just to close up this session, what would you like to say to some young people to encourage them, or anything to anyone that you feel like needs to be encouraged?
All right, thank you for that. My encouragement to young people is the destiny is in your hands. It's not about my mom didn't take me to school. Let's not blame parents. Let's not blame guardians. Let's not blame the people that have got a part of our life and we expect them to do it for the rest of their life.
Yes.
The destiny is in your hands, and whatever the basics, like you were saying, you're not trained in an institution to be a hotelier, but
Yes.
you have allowed yourself, other people to talk to you, other people, for you to understand what exactly is required in the industry. Even the small things, they're very important.
Yes.
So the destiny is in your hands. Don't blame people, don't blame anyone else. It's you who can make who you want to be.
Yes.
Other people come in as a support system, and a support system, it doesn't only come in financially.
Yes.
It comes in as people who have time with you, to talk to you, listen.
Yes.
It's important to listen, especially for young people. It's important to listen. It's important also to have direction. When you have your own direction, people will just mend it for you, but you're not necessarily waiting for someone to say stand up and walk towards the north or the east.
Yes.
But you have got somewhere where you are saying this is where I want to go. And also maybe taking this opportunity, especially for our community, don't be idle.
Yes.
Don't be idle. Find something that you can do. I remember someone told me that we were talking, I think, okay, now I remember, we were actually in a car, and someone was saying, even when I was at university, I used to sell sweets, and I would use that money to buy my food for every day.
Yes.
So if you're not idle, even when your parents say, all we have is your fees, your rentals, your meal for you to survive, the extra things that you need, you can get them on your own. You don't necessarily have to go out there and find someone else to fund your life. You can fund your life on your own. And then why I'm also saying don't be idle, it's for you to have an upkeep. and
Yes.
also for you to run away from things that are happening. You know, there are things to do with drug abuse.
Yes.
There are things to do with people just, you know, theft. You find someone, or police say they found people who are stealing in a certain area, and there are young people there.
Yes.
So it's also an issue of just making sure that you've got something that you're doing. Sporting activities, join anything that you feel like it will just take my time, and do other things later, and I'm tired and I want to sleep and I want to rest, and yeah, you create that environment. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was Miss Sarah Dhliwayo, our award winner. So, if anyone is going to watch this interview, we're not doing this because we want to give you information. I feel like on the interviews that I've done so far, we wanted to give them information, but this is so inspiring to young people, to anyone who's out there in the community, that you must feel challenged about your own life. If you want to sleep and be lazy, it's okay. You want to be a great person. So me now, I'm gonna be a great person, and I'm gonna tell my story. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My outfit done.
Oh my God.